Welcome to this channel of real-life inspired, quiet relationship stories. What I'm about to share is a memory of fragment I've never told anyone. Tonight, let me tell you one more story I remembered, quietly, in the dark. What happened that Saturday afternoon changed how I see the small moments that shape our lives. I work as a wedding planner at a luxury hotel in Akasaka, a busy district in central Tokyo, known for its upscale venues and corporate buildings. That day, I was checking on one of our reception halls when I witnessed something that reminded me why I chose this profession. Sometimes the most meaningful encounters happen when we least expect them, in the space between planning and spontaneity, creating memories that stay with us long after the moment has passed. I had just finished reviewing the arrangements for the Johnson-Williams family reception when I noticed a man standing uncertainly outside our Sakura Hall. He looked confused, checking a piece of paper against the nameplate by the entrance. In my years of working weddings, I had learned to recognize the signs of someone who was lost or unsure. His formal suit suggested he was here for a celebration, but his hesitation told me something was wrong. I approached him quietly, wondering if he needed assistance finding his way. "Excuse me," I said politely. "This reception is for the Johnson-Williams family. Are you perhaps looking for a different celebration?" He looked relieved to be approached and showed me his invitation. It clearly read Anderson Clark Family, which was being held in our Yuri Hall on the 5th floor. I could see the realization dawn on his face as he checked his watch. The ceremony had already begun, and the elevators were crowded with other wedding guests moving between floors during the busy Saturday afternoon schedule. He introduced himself as David, explaining that he was attending his colleague's wedding but had somehow ended up at the wrong reception hall. The elevators were backed up due to multiple celebrations happening simultaneously throughout the hotel. As a wedding planner, I understood how these scheduling conflicts could create confusion for guests. I offered to help him reach the correct floor once the current ceremony concluded. Sometimes being helpful means recognizing when patience serves better than rushing, and I could see he was torn between politeness and urgency. Rather than have him wait alone in the corridor, I suggested he could observe our current ceremony from the back of the hall until the elevators cleared. The couple getting married had a particularly beautiful ceremony planned, and I thought witnessing their joy might ease his frustration about the mix-up. He accepted gratefully, and I found him a discreet seat where he wouldn't disturb the family's special moment. Watching weddings from a professional perspective had taught me to appreciate the universal elements of celebration that transcend individual circumstances. As the ceremony progressed, I found myself observing both the wedding and David's reaction to it. Despite being a complete stranger to the couple, he seemed genuinely moved by the bride's speech to her parents and the heartfelt exchange of vows. His respectful attention reminded me why I love this work, helping create moments that could touch even unintended witnesses. During the cake-cutting ceremony, I quietly explained the traditional elements to him, sharing insights about Japanese wedding customs that might interest someone unfamiliar with our cultural practices. When the reception concluded and guests began moving toward the elevators, I guided David to the 5th floor to check on his colleague's celebration. Unfortunately, we discovered that ceremony had also ended while we were downstairs. He called his colleague to apologize, explaining the confusion with genuine embarrassment. His colleague was understanding and laughed about the mix-up, suggesting they celebrate properly another time. I felt responsible for his missing the intended celebration, even though the confusion wasn't truly anyone's fault but rather an honest mistake. To make amends for his missed celebration, I offered to buy him coffee in our hotel lounge. It seemed like the least I could do. After he had been so gracious about the scheduling confusion, the lounge was filled with other wedding guests, creating a festive atmosphere that felt appropriate for continued conversation. We found a table by the windows overlooking the busy streets of Tokyo, where the afternoon light created a pleasant backdrop for getting acquainted. Our conversation began with work but gradually expanded to include our perspectives on life and career choices. David worked in technical support for an industrial equipment company, a field quite different from my world of event planning and hospitality. He spoke thoughtfully about the challenges of solving complex problems for clients and finding satisfaction in work that others might consider mundane. I shared my own journey into wedding planning, explaining how I had discovered purpose in helping couples create meaningful celebrations. Despite our different professional backgrounds, we found common ground in discussing the importance of attention to detail and genuine care for the people we serve. As our conversation continued over a second cup of coffee, we talked about the unexpected moments that sometimes redirect our daily routines. David mentioned that he rarely took time for unplanned conversations, being usually focused on work schedules and family obligations. I realized that I, too, had become so immersed in creating special moments for others that I seldom allowed myself to experience spontaneous connections. Our accidental meeting was becoming a reminder of how enriching it could be to step outside our normal patterns and embrace unexpected encounters. The afternoon light began to soften as we moved to our third cup of coffee, and our conversation turned to more personal reflections about finding balance between professional dedication and personal fulfillment. David spoke candidly about feeling caught between various responsibilities, work demands, family expectations, and personal aspirations that sometimes seemed in conflict. I found myself sharing similar struggles about maintaining authenticity while working in an industry focused on creating perfect moments for others. These honest exchanges felt meaningful in a way that surprised us both. When David mentioned that he should probably head home, I found myself suggesting that he might enjoy seeing our hotel's rooftop garden before leaving. Many guests never discovered this quiet space, which offered a different perspective on the city and served as a peaceful retreat from Tokyo's intensity. The garden was small but beautifully maintained, with carefully chosen plants that provided color and tranquility above the urban bustle. We used this space sometimes for photo sessions, but during quiet hours, it became a place for reflection and appreciation of small beauties. Standing in the garden as afternoon faded into early evening, we looked out over Tokyo's sprawling cityscape. The view reminded me why I'd chosen this district years. A goth energy and quiet possibility it offers. David seemed equally struck by the peaceful vantage point, noting how different the city felt from up here. We spoke about the need to find calm within our busy lives, brief pauses that remind us what really matters. Our garden conversation touched on connection and purpose, themes that felt fitting. After our unexpected meeting, David shared that the day had given him new appreciation for the gifts hidden in mistakes. I realized that helping him reminded me of the human side of my work, the emotional truths beneath ceremony. We agreed that this chance encounter was the kind of gentle reminder we all need, about staying open to surprise and small, meaningful exchanges. As the sky turned dusky, we sensed the moment drawing to a close. David thanked me for helping him navigate confusion, and for the thoughtful conversation. I thanked him for reminding me to embrace spontaneity within structured routines. We parted with mutual appreciation for a quiet Saturday afternoon that had unfolded in a way neither of us expected. In the weeks that followed, I often thought about that day and the lesson it left behind, how the most meaningful moments often come not from careful planning, but from being present when life veers off course. David's curiosity and grace had reminded me of the value in meeting the unfamiliar with openness rather than resistance. That reflection began to subtly change how I approached my own work and conversations. Months later, I saw David again, this time at the correct wedding in our hotel. We exchanged warm, brief greetings during a quiet moment. It felt like a quiet echo of our earlier encounter, a gentle full circle. We didn't speak long, but that glance was enough to recall how one simple misstep had turned into something unexpectedly meaningful. Looking back, I now understand that moment as one of those small, defining episodes that quietly reshape how we view daily life. It taught me to notice chances for connection, even in routine. It reminded me that helping someone through uncertainty can lead to discovering something about ourselves too. Most of all, it showed me that life's richest meaning sometimes lives in the detours we don't plan but choose to follow anyway. Whether it truly happened, or maybe it didn't. Somehow, the telling makes that less important. If even a small part of this story stays with you, then I'm glad I chose to share it. If you feel like it, I'd be happy to have you back for another story. And if you enjoyed this quiet moment, please consider subscribing. Until next time and another quiet night.